Blog Talk Radio.
Fans, here we go with the main event of the evening. Ladies and gentlemen in attendance, boxing fans joining us around the world. It's time for the bout you've all been waiting for. Finally, it is showtime.
Here, man, we dedicate our lives to this sport. We do thousands of sit-ups in camp. We run hundreds of miles, for the ones that take it serious. And we just dedicate ourselves fully to our craft, man. We watch tape. We attitude, we rooting, and we go into that fight to land on the line.
College football fans, welcome back to the College Ball Show podcast. I am Chris, he's Marshall, and we're here to discuss everything dealing with college football, mostly on the field. Now, obviously, week 3 on paper looked pretty light, to say the least, right? It looked it looked like a dud. No ranked versus ranked. However, the ranked versus ranked is nice. None of these teams, people are ranked, obviously, but we know the real rankings aren't coming out for quite some time once there's a lot more to judge it from. This weekend happens to be, a judgment weekend. The national quarterfinals, so to speak, we got a couple of them. But like I said, even we talked about the games flying under the radar last week, and it was clear as day. It was clear as day that some of these teams could have been in the top 25. Some of them could have been 30. Basically, there was good matchups, inside the top 40, so to speak. And that's what we got. Now, in the top 10, don't get me wrong. There wasn't a whole lot to judge from there beyond the Florida-Kentucky game. That was a very interesting game. But after that, it really started to be better games. And like I said, the games flying under the radar, not just involving a ranked team, but just in general, actually turned out pretty good. It actually turned out pretty good. So we're definitely going to start with some recap. We'll go over week 3, which, like I said, turned out to be better than we thought. Now, week 4 is stacked. For a casual college football fan, it is completely stacked. Hold on, I got to fix something real quick. I think that's a little better. All right. But week 4, number 3, Georgia versus number 7, Notre Dame. Number 8, Auburn versus number 17, Texas A&M. Number 11, Michigan versus number 13, Wisconsin. And like I said, a variety of more interesting matchups to go along with that. Maybe those will be the games this week flying under the radar. So we'll definitely get to break that down. We talk betting lines. We talk against the spread, over-unders. We really just talk it all through. We also have one of our favorites segments is the Crafty Pick of the Week, where my co-host Marshall just throws a game at me and I pick it. And that's we try to find the worst game possible to pick, so neither of us really know who the hell is what's going on. We've heard of these teams or whatever now because we've been doing this segment for a while, but it's pretty funny. Anyway, before we get started, if this is your first time listening to the College Ball Show, you can find it right here on blogtalkradio.com/Rope-A-Dope Radio, okay? It streams live, it archives. It's basically the headquarters, okay? But the College Ball Show under the Rope-A-Dope Radio podcast can be found on iTunes, a.k.a. Apple Podcast, TuneIn, Player FM. Those two we get a lot of, streams from. Stitcher, Spreaker, basically anywhere, you basically listen to your podcast. How many times am I going to say basically? We're also part of the Grueling Truth Sports Podcast Network. They can be found everywhere, iTunes, Player FM, including Spotify and iHeartRadio. In fact, to find the Grueling Truth Sports Podcast Network or Rope-A-Dope, you can use your Siri or Alexa, through TuneIn and Spotify and find us right there. Why don't you head on over to thegruelingtruth.net? That's thegruelingtruth.net. It's football, it's basketball, it's baseball, it's boxing, it's everything in between. They got a great sponsor over there, BetNow.eu. That's BetNow.eu. They have a promo code TGT, as in the grueling truth. And one more thing, if you're thinking about cutting the cord, or you have and you're not happy, you need something, you should maybe consider, okay, I'm not pushing it on you, but you should consider AT&T Now. It's a streaming cable service. They do have a 7-day free trial. The plans only start at $50 a month. I think it's 50 and 70 is where the I think it's like the Plus and Max or something like that. But anyway, it includes HBO. You can stream it anywhere. They have the cloud DVR. Try it now. AT&T Now, like I said, 7-day free trial. You can stream your cable. With all these sports going on, it's good to have something. You could have $50, worth of a streaming cable. You could still have, Amazon or Hulu or whatever, right? Netflix and chill, whatever you want to do. And you're still like saving $100 off your normal cable bill, minimum. So anyway, we're going to get right into it. I'm going to go ahead and bring in my co-host, Marshall. What is going on, Marshall? How the hell are you? It hit 86 today, so I believe it's the last week of summer up here, up in Minnesota.
It's been cooling down a little bit. Now, again, I'm never going to complain because one of the 3 reasons I moved to Texas was avoid winter. So I'm never going to bitch when it's hot, but it's getting down to like the 80s, 90s a little bit more often, which is really nice down here. But anyways, I got to start off with a rant. Okay, this is, again, due to financial reasons and also due to a garbage quarterback who I probably won't bet for the rest of the year. I chose to bet Maryland because they had looked incredibly flashy the first 2 weeks of the season. They killed Howard. They murdered Syracuse. And
Juggernaut. The juggernaut.
I used them.
I mean, They were scoring points at will.
I think they'd scored 140 points in the first 2 weeks, or around there. And I parlayed them with just to win the game, along with Lane Kiffin, who did. Props to Lane Kiffin. The boys are coming now. And with USC. Obviously, they didn't win, but I could have hedged the bet. So Maryland, they start off offense a little slow. They have a punt that goes down the field. It bounces off a Temple player. They have a chance. They get down to the goal line, 4th and goal, stops at the 1. Game continues to go. Later in the game, fast forward to the 4th quarter, they're down 5. Run to the goal line. 1st and goal, stop. 2nd goal, stop. 3rd and goal, stop. 4th and goal, try up the center, stop. Temple gets the ball. Temple's punter has a 7-yard punt. 7.
That's right, 7 yards, folks. You heard it correctly. It was no misquote. 7 freaking yards. I can punt it 30 yards.
So then they have the ball again, 1st and goal on the 10. This is the 3rd time they've had 1st and goal. They didn't get a single bleeping point out of any 1st and goal chance in the whole effing game. 1st down, he overthrows an open tight end. 4th down, they throw a pass where the wide receiver catches the ball, but his feet were out of bounds. I used to remember how Josh Jackson sucked at Virginia Tech, and I forgot that on my memory. Because, God, was he just garbage. And what killed me was the Maryland running backs actually were all pretty fast. I heard people talk about how athletic the running backs are, and they do have speed. But apparently running up the center over and over again didn't work, so got there to make a play call change. Anyways, Maryland blows however many chances from 1st and goal, and I lose the bet. And if they'd won, I could have hedged it because BYU won. I could have made a good chunk of money Saturday. But the Temple Owls defense, and I'll give them credit. I don't care what type of football you're playing. If you can make 3 goal line stands in a game, I'll give them some props there. But offensively, that shouldn't exist. So Josh Jackson sucks. I'm off the Maryland bandwagon. The Turtles can go back in their shells and float down a river. Rant is over. Nice to join you for another show, my friend. I had to get that off my chest, though.
Hey, that's okay, man. That's part of the show. It's all a big release, basically. And yeah, dude, I mean, it's now the fifth time that Maryland becomes ranked, and the very next week they lose. You know what I mean? And had I known that stat, previously before we did the show, I knew that the very next day when I was writing up my prediction blogs for the week for college football, and I just came across that stat, and I thought, oh snap, I got to stay away from it. I stayed away from it money wise, but I did put it in to take it to the window. So it was supposed to be easy money, and it was nothing of the sort. It was rough. It was really rough. Speaking of rough, Florida lost their quarterback who just started to turn the corner, I believe, as a quarterback last year and this year. Still not pretty, but he was getting the job done. They lost him for the season. Looks like they're going to have a youngster that helped them bring him back against Kentucky. This would have been the first time since, like, was it the 70s or maybe even further back? I think it was 77 or something like that. If Florida would have lost to Kentucky for back-to-back years, but that was not the case. Florida got it done in comeback fashion, 29-21. They were. Go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to say, you mentioned that, and I found that honestly just miraculous because you've seen so many times where a team's on the road, the starting quarterback gets hurt, backup comes in, and this kid came back and won the game. Like this kid hasn't played football for Florida. Well, they said he was a grad transfer, a senior, but he never played for him before. And you come in on the road in a hostile place where this is the team that beat you last year, going to beat you 2 years in a row, and to come from a touchdown down like late third quarter and to actually win the game, that's pretty impressive. Normally in that situation, you're thinking, okay, we lost. We'll have a backup in next week. At least he gets kind of his feet wet. We'll see what happens. But I'm kind of happy maybe I didn't have some money because I would have thought Kentucky would have taken advantage because when Franks got hurt, Kentucky had the ball. They're looking to go up like maybe 14, and all of a sudden the new kid comes in and they win a game, Chris. You don't see that happen too much where the starter goes down, you're losing the game on the road late in the game, and you come back to win. So maybe maybe Florida won't be super sad as he's taken over. I doubt the kid is Franks, but that's a pretty remarkable win for the situation they were put in.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, they were up 21-10. And then had a turnover on downs on Florida, but then they had a nice drive going, and they turned it over on downs, and it was pretty much done after that. If you look at the yardage, though, to give up 100, they actually outrushed. I know Kentucky rushed the ball a lot, but still, that Florida defense is really good, and they put up 267 in the air, 23 of 35. It was just the interceptions, and it was 34-25, 34-55 as far as time of possession too. So I guess the turnovers is really what did it. But I was a little surprised how much yardage overall. Maybe not necessarily the run because we know they're built to run, but still, that was a little surprising for me, no doubt about it. But they did get the job done, and we'll see, how this new guy here takes over. Penn State and Pitt. It's a rivalry game, in-state rivalry. It usually turns out to be pretty close, and this was damn close. 17-10. There were some questionable, should we go for it, maybe we shouldn't type of stuff, too. We actually saw that at a variety of games this weekend, but Penn State sneaks by 17-10, like I said, over Pittsburgh. UCF, now, Stanford had kind of shown, the ability to get their ass kicked, the week before by USC. And we'll get into USC, by the way. I know we're not going to duck and dodge that's for sure. No, dude, holy cow, Central Florida. I mean, that is some of the numbers they put up just in the first half was really impressive, man. I mean, this squad, sure, they don't play in the toughest league or in a top-tier league, whatever. That's fine. But they had 28 points, 10 first downs, 235 yards of offense in the first quarter. I mean, they just steamrolled the Cardinals. Stanford just got chumped 45-27. Central Florida keeps their streak alive. They have the longest streak since 1936 of scoring 30-plus points. I think it's up to 29 games now in a row. Just really, really impressive. I'm going to close out some of this other stuff real quick. Virginia came back on Florida State. How many times can Florida State give up a frickin' lead? I mean, at least when my Miami Hurricanes lose, they'll just lose. But they're not up by like 10 points or whatever. You know, like it's pretty crazy, man. Florida State is just in a disarray as a program, and like we said the last couple of weeks, I'm not hurting from it. You know, I'll be okay. I'm going to sleep great actually. But wow. But here, this back half of this top 25, basically like 18 and down with these matchups. We talked about how, you know, ASU had just not looked good, so they got unranked. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like Iowa State didn't look great in their game, so they got unranked. But this could have been a top 25 matchups. This could have been, like I mentioned earlier, top 30, top 35, top 40, these games that were just really, really good. And we're going to go over some. Obviously, Arizona State does it again. Last year it was like 16-13 or something like that. 10-7. They drive down with I think a redshirt freshman Daniels, who struggled but really came alive there, you know, at the end. Ended up beating Michigan State at Michigan State. Herm Edwards is really starting to turn this ASU program around. They get the win 10-7. We'll talk about that. We already talked about how Temple did Maryland 20-17. Another game I want to focus on is a game we knew was going to be tight as well. Iowa and Iowa State, 18-17. Iowa pulls it out. Two different weather delays, like 2.5 some hours of weather delays, which always makes for kind of a strange game. Obviously, they outscored them 9-3 in that fourth quarter, and it was good enough. They got that field goal with like 5 minutes left to get up 18-17, and were not able to get it done. The Cyclones. What about those two games? ASU going up north, getting a nice win for the Pac-12, and you know, we knew Iowa and Iowa State was going to be good, and it turned out to be a damn good close-ass game. Must have took like 6.5 hours to watch if you were like paying attention to it the whole time.
Yeah, with the rain delays, that always kind of just makes the game kind of strange. You know, you're doing whatever to kill time in the locker room. You kind of lose your momentum. I think the game would have been good if they would have played it like over 2 days or in a regular 3 hours. That's the case. But it was kind of a crappy way to end. Iowa State was going to get the ball back with like a minute 20 to go. I saw this on Twitter. And Iowa State guy was getting ready to like fair catch a punt, probably in like the 40, so like pretty good field position. And one of his own guys like laid him out. And of course the ball bounced off that guy's shoulder pads, and Iowa recovers, and you're on the clock. So it could have been an Iowa State potential win. You know, maybe they get a walk-off field goal, but a very close game as we've expected. I had thought that Iowa State had won a couple of years ago, but Iowa had won, I think, the past 6 or 7 in a row. So that streak barely continues, but it's a pretty level playing field before we start this podcast 8-9 years ago when it was
5 in a row.
Almost. Okay, 5
in a row.
Yeah, so,
but they have the longest streak of an ongoing rivalry year after year of a 1-point score ending, too. So it's always one score or less.
Yeah, it's always been pretty fun. So, I mean, tough loss for Iowa State, good win for Iowa as they head now to conference play. For Herm Edwards, we kind of, I don't know if we officially locked in the pick, but gave that pick out. Like, man, Arizona State played them tight last year and beat them, and Arizona State normally has a pretty good defense. So the plus 13 was like, like that looks pretty tasty, and it hit. It hit, and they actually won. Herm Edwards, Arizona State, have given up 7 points or less.
We're gonna have to start calling it here. If he does good, man, we're gonna have to call it Herm State.
Yeah, Herm State. They've given up 7 points or less all 3 games this year. Like, dude, he's got that ship, in the right direction. That good for them. And if I'm a Pac-12 team, that's not really a team I want to play. Last year he kind of surprised people. This year I think it's going to show that it's not really a surprise or a fluke anymore. And that guy's got a defense that's basically known for a conference of basically with offensive teams. I guess it'd be rude not to mention Cal, but besides Cal and Arizona State, that's kind of an offensive-oriented team conference. So I wouldn't be surprised if Herm knocked off a couple of more teams and give him maybe next year where he gets 3 years of recruits and gets an offense in there. And unless he gets bored or wants to change his mind, I'm with you, Chris. I think that Herm is going to be going in the right direction. To switch to a game and give a little bit of a props to an old college I went to. Not that I was ever a huge fan of NDSU because I went to UND as well as my parents did, but NDSU is the powerhouse team that's won the past 7 out of 8 national championships under Division I, like Northern Iowa and teams like that in that league. Their head coach went to Kansas State this year to replace Bill Snyder. And they're 3-0 now, and they've had 2 blowout wins like Maryland had, and they went to Mississippi State. But for K-State, that was actually a really fun game to watch, Mississippi State, K-State. It was basically a 1-touchdown game the whole way, and they ended up winning. I think they got touched on the last 4 to 5 minutes, but a nice win for Kleiman to go from a smaller school to a Big 12 school. And they were a 7-point underdog. Not many people thought they had a chance, but to go into an SEC territory on the road, a good win for K-State. And it was funny, I was telling my mom about that game because she came down to visit me this weekend. And she's like, oh, okay, well, who was the coach before? And it's like, well, it's the guy who's been there for like almost 30 years. And she's like, geez, that's got to be tough to fill in the shoes of Bill Snyder, which is, I would say, is a true statement. But K-State's off to a good start. Not that they're probably going to have a chance to win the Big 12, but maybe they could go for the regular 7 to 8 wins that Bill Snyder brought that team every year with the new coach.
Right. Yeah, and just getting back real quick to the Iowa and Iowa State game, it's kind of interesting, man, because time of possession definitely favored Iowa. The turnovers hurt Iowa State, but man, they outgained them by 100 yards. Another key was third down. 3 of 9 for Iowa State, 10 of 19 for the Hawkeyes on third down. Just to have 19 third downs tells you you're kind of chewing away the clock. They had the 34.58, so almost 35 minutes of time possession. So that was definitely some key stats, and like you said, a nice win there. We figured it would be close, no doubt about it. It seems like Michigan State the last couple of years just haven't been able to get over the hump of some of these non-conference early games. They have been going down. We've seen kind of a track record of that. I mentioned Virginia, who just got ranked 25th, beat Florida State 31-24. BYU is a team that we bring up probably, almost every week, but at least, it's 14, at least about 5-6 times a year. It's usually under the against the spread. And, I tracked it a couple years back where you just had to put them against the spread because they were in so many tight games. You can go back, and if they keep doing it this year, I'm going to have to go back and look at it. Just go through the scores. It's just crazy that year. I think it was only 2 years ago. And, they're just a good-ass club. And last week in my prediction blog, I picked them over Tennessee for my upset of the week. So I couldn't go back to the well. You know what I mean? I couldn't do it. But they sure did. 30-27 in overtime. The game ended, with a pick, right? Or no, wait. Yeah, it ended in a pick, didn't it?
Yeah,
or was it a kick field goal to get the lead kick field goal, then a pick? That's right. By Slovis, who, still had a pretty good afternoon stat-wise, except the 3 INTs, which that kind of tells you where he's at, in his development. It's 17-17 at half. BYU just hung with them, kept hanging with them. and they did what BYU does. No points given up in the in overtime, and just got that field goal and got it done, man. What happened here to a USC squad coming off just a butt whooping of that, rivalry, Pac-12 in state, I guess you could say, right? Against Stanford. What the hell happened to USC the very next week? It's okay to play them tight. They played Fresno tight. They got the W. They needed the W. BYU needed it more, I guess.
I know I repeat this all the damn time, and you know this because we've been ranting on USC for a couple of years now. I really think it's the preparation from the head coach. I mean, the first drive, we go down there, we score up 7-0 effortlessly, and then in some fairness to take off Clay Helton's shoulders, the young quarterback, first ever true road start. The BYU place was packed. I don't know if it was a sellout, but that place was jumping. The kid throws a couple of picks. So we get down a little bit there, but we bounce back, and come the fourth quarter, we have the lead by 7, and then the defense fell apart, and then we made mistakes, and then we in overtime the offense couldn't get going. It's just the main thing I always pisses me off is that we just never seem to be the better coached team. You can't tell me the BYU's got better players than we do, and it's the same crap from last year. Either there's one of three issues. Either we've lost the talent and USC doesn't get recruits they used to, or we can't make in-game adjustments, or Clay Helton's prep sucks. And I really don't think we've lost the talent that USC has. I get we're maybe not the 2004 Reggie Bush team, and that's fair because Pete Carroll had a hell of a run there. But whether we're on the road or an underdog, we never seem to win games. And we were a 4-point favorite. I think that was probably rightfully deserved. But all the momentum that we had from the Stanford win just went away. And I really think, Chris, that Clay Helton's the main part of the problem. Because it's just year after year, we keep losing games where we should have a better skilled team. And if we have a better skilled team, a lot of that comes back to finger pointing toward the coach. And it's just the same crap. I don't know how he got a job again this year, and he got it again, but we were out-coached and outplayed by a team with a lot less skill, and I'm sure it'll happen again because we got Utah this week, which is a huge game. So I would not be too positive on Clay Helton leading the ship again.
Well, and the reason why he got the job is because of what he did 2 years ago when he did get to 10 games, when he beat Stanford twice, and he had a successful year. That's why he got there 2 years ago. That's why he was able to maintain his job, in my opinion. But I do have to agree with you on a lot of the stuff you said because it's like the consistency. It really comes down to consistency. Go ahead. You can finish it.
I believe this is almost correct, 95% correct. I might be off by a game or two, but we are 2-12 as underdogs with him as our coach. That alone is just like, dude, that's unacceptable. I don't care if underdog role, you're USC,
right?
You're 2-12 as underdog. There's something missing in that scenario, Chris. But yeah, I'll stop because I'll go on forever.
And it's not like they played 14 highly ranked teams or something in that time. So yeah, that's a good point.
Right. Absolutely,
that's a good point. Washington State kind of knuckled one out against Houston. We figured that would be a good game as well. I put that under the hardcore barn burner type stuff. 31-24 on the road. That was an interesting game, really interesting game, really tight. And then they got a little, opening there to look like they were going to run away with it. But 31-24, Wake was up pretty big on UNC. North Carolina comes back. They didn't come back all the way though. 24-18. That was another barn burner that we said that might be good. We figured someone would get ranked. They're both 2-0. They both got some good wins early. Neither team coming into the season we figure would even sniff the rankings. So, good for them. Virginia Tech barely gets by Furman 24-17. Illinois goes down to Eastern Michigan 35-31. Georgia Tech goes down to Citadel 27-24 in overtime. Colorado, after a nice win over Nebraska, goes down to Air Force. Air Force got a big game against Boise State coming up. So all of a sudden, these games, I mean, Minnesota needed a last-second touchdown. Like, we're, that one was crazy. I'm going to go on a little rant just on what the hell is going on. Can everything go wrong for the Gophers, although they're 3-0, which in years past, and I'm talking years past, decades, since I've been born, they would have lost this game. They would have lost all three of these games, probably at least one out of the two. So that is a good sign. But, you know, you're about to go up and probably put the game on ice. Probably. First of all, you gave them, you know, not a pick six, but an interception that turned right into a touchdown. And when you go against the triple option, you got a zone option, whatever the hell it is, you got to you can't give them a lead. You know, so that hung them around, kept them around. We went for it on 4th and goal. Probably shouldn't have. That led to something, or 4th and short, I should say. Gave them some points near the end of the half or whatever. But you're about to kick a field goal to go up, I think 10 or 13. I can't remember. But, you know, it looks like, okay, we got over the hump. No big deal. It's like 6-7 minutes left of the game. We're good. Yeah, everything's cool. The defense is calmed down now. Offense is moving the ball, yada, yada, yada. Block, field goal, scoop, and score. Then they freaking they basically, you know, strip the quarterback, scoop and score. It's just like, oh my, and next thing you know, they're down. And it's like, oh my God, what just happened? We were about to put the game on ice probably. And it was just crazy, man. Now Georgia Southern, sure, they did compete last year when really nobody could compete with Bama during the regular season, right? That halftime score really shocked everybody. I don't even think they were winning, right? They were just with them, wasn't it? They were just with them. I don't think they were winning. Pretty sure they
it
were
was like 10-7 or 12-7, something in that ballpark. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, it is what it is. But now Tyler Johnson had a hell of a day. 10 catches, $144, 3 touchdowns, in the touchdown to seal it in the closing seconds of the game. And that's pretty cool because Tyler Johnson came back for senior year, probably would have been drafted in the top 3 rounds, maybe second round probably. Kid from North Minneapolis. It's just beautiful. So it ended great, but man almighty, we're going to have to be more consistent as a Gopher fan, speaking of course. And just to wrap a couple of other games up, Cal was in a dogfight with Northern Texas 23-17 after their big win over Washington. That was a little bit of a surprise there. Liberty, and I know this is weird to say, but Liberty beat Buffalo, and Buffalo last year was a good team. They actually, at half, were up on Penn State before getting blown out. But Liberty comes up 35-17. I know that sounds funny to say Liberty, but they're actually trying to make Liberty into Notre Dame. That's what I'm just going to stop there. TCU. Can we be starting to see a TCU that can play defense and that has an offense? Got a very good win, 34-13 at Purdue. That was interesting. And Arizona took care of business at home to Texas Tech, 28-14. I'll say this, Marshall. We've been giving the Pac-12 a whole lot of heat. Now, in our college, we call it the College Ball Show because when January's, you know, mid-January, when the national championship's over, we do go to college basketball. And the Pac-12 college basketball has been just sorry. So we give a little bit of shit to the Pac-12 for their network and also just because we just do. They've been down as a conference. They produce a good team or two a year, usually just one team. That's pretty damn good. Washington's been that team. You know, Oregon looks like they're going to turn the corner. USC and pass Stanford as well. But we got to start looking at the ACC this year because the ACC has been losing left and right to teams that they shouldn't. That is something that we're definitely going to have to keep an eye on and is worth mentioning even in Week 4. Is there anything else that you want to recap before we get into this Week 4? Because we got a lot to talk about with Georgia, Notre Dame, Auburn, Texas A&M, Michigan, Wisconsin. You mentioned it, Utah, USC. I mean, we got a hell of a schedule on paper, man.
Well, it'd be rude for us not to talk about our recap from our crafty pick of the week, which again, maybe I should start betting the games we talked about for this segment, because Central Michigan whooped up on Akron. The Dan Lefevre alumni took care of the Zips, and it was a beat down. 45-24. This one wasn't pretty. So the Central Michigan Chippewas advanced to 1-0 in the MAC. They were up 27-10 at half, and it was pretty much a wrap after that. So Greeno, just saying, the crafty pick of the week. If you're rolling dice, you're coming up either craps or what you don't want. I mean, we're off to a good start. And just a little charity sympathy victory. Tennessee did win a game, Chris. They beat Chattanooga. I think they took out a little bit of a pain and frustration. Tennessee won 45-0. I'm not saying that that's going to solve all the world problems, but they did win a game, and now they go to Florida with a backup quarterback. So maybe if you're Tennessee and you could beat Florida before Georgia kicks your ass, maybe those fans won't quite want to kill Jeremy Pruitt yet. But besides that, sir, no, I'm good. For recaps, we touched on Mizzou, touched on Florida Atlantic, and Mizzou played some no-name team and ran up the score. So I'm good for the week, sir.
Well, let's get into it.
I
think there's two ways to look at number 3 Georgia versus number 7 Notre Dame. Two ways. In two ways only. No, I'm just kidding. But two ways. One, Georgia's going to win, and 2, they're not going to win by 13.5. The spread is 13.5. What says you about that, sir?
If memory serves, and I want to say it was 2 years ago, but I'm sure I'm wrong. Did Notre Dame get their butt kicked last year, or was it 2 years ago that Georgia went up to Notre Dame?
Let me check. I think it was last year that they. Let me check.
Okay. But as he's looking, I think the point spread is that for a reason. Whether it was last year or the year before, Georgia went up there and just put the whooping on Notre Dame. It was just flat out.
Hold the phone. Are we talking regular season?
Yeah, didn't Georgia go
We're
up to
talking
Notre
regular
Dame and kick
season,
their ass?
right?
Yeah.
Notre Dame lost 20-19 in 2017 to Georgia week 2.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't that. Okay, my bad. I really thought they went up there and rolled them. Okay. Well, excuse me. They won.
Clemson rolled them 30-3 last year. Clemson rolled them 30-3 in the semifinal, but they didn't roll. They were undefeated last year.
Okay. In my head, I'd really thought that they'd murdered Notre Dame. All right. Well, that's poor prep on my part. Nonetheless, I do think the point spread is fair. I do think that, I just think that Georgia is that much better of a team into the season. I think the issue that Notre Dame has had is obviously, I guess, the Georgia game does count with them, but they're a step below the top-end talent that Clemson, Alabama's, and Georgia's have. Now, I'm not saying that can't happen on a given day. But when you watched them play Clemson last year, it was like Notre Dame's a great team, but they're not quite to the higher level. I think the same rules apply.
That Clemson squad was pretty good, too, wasn't it? It was a pretty decent squad last year, huh?
it wasn't too bad, yes. But, in Georgia, if not for a stupid fake field goal, last year could be Bama. So I do think there's a minor step up in the skill differential. Obviously, I think the home field advantage is huge. Ian Book is going to have a lot on his shoulders. I just think that they're kind of actually, in a way, a very similar team. I think both teams enjoy running the ball. I guess my main point, Chris, is when I see a spread that big, Vegas normally isn't wrong. They're giving the respect to the point spread because Vegas thinks there's that much of a difference, and I kind of help to go along with it. Now, I was wrong for thinking Georgia killed them. They did win a game, but winning by 1 point is far from a massacre. but I just think that the way Georgia's offense has been playing this year and the just a little bit of a better team, I do like them to win. Now, I wouldn't bet a whole lot of money on the minus 13, but I think with that points for that kind of would scare me away to believing in Notre Dame. And, yeah, I'll go with a Georgia victory.
But did you see the New Mexico game, though? No, I'm just kidding. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think they win, and both of them like to run the ball, but only one can stop running the ball, or stop the run, I should say. So, yeah, they Georgia, the Bulldogs, they'll be able to contain the run just a little bit. I do actually like, Fromm, to me, is a solid quarterback. Sometimes very good. I mean, he's had great games. So I think he's just solid to very good. Ian Book's going to have to really make those plays that he's capable of making. But we're on the same page except for the spread. We'll revisit that next week. I almost said next year. Let's slow the pace down a little bit. Auburn, number 8 in the country, visiting a number 17 Texas A&M. And according to ESPN's Football Power Index, my co-host's favorite stat, that's all he does. He doesn't want to hear about anything. He just wants to go right to the matchup predictor. 53.7 to 46.3. The home team is going to get it done. Texas A&M, that's what the predictor says. What says you, sir?
Oh, you'll love this. ESPN's got that new gambling show called Daily Wager, and they had a guy on the gambling show this past week, and he mentioned how the ESPN FPI machine predictor in their 13 big games this year is 4-9. I'm telling you, the wheels are falling off, Chris. The wheels are falling off. I should have video record.
They do an article where they do like 2 different computer-generated things and see which is closer. It's like, what are we doing, folks? Do you want to get rid of your own job? Like, why don't you pick them once in a while?
I should have recorded it and played the audio on our podcast. That would have made me smile even more. But yes, the FPI system in 13 games this year is 4-9. So I wouldn't go to the bank with the good old FPI. Now, with that being said, I do feel A&M wins this game. Okay, for a couple reasons. One, their home field advantage is one of the best in the country. 2, your last 3 out of 6 games are Georgia, Alabama, and LSU. Not in that order, but you need a big win, and all 3 of those games, especially with finishing at Georgia, at LSU, is a bitch of a schedule. So if you're kind of looking for that big circle game on the map to win, this is it. Third part, Auburn's got a young quarterback. And A&M, I mean, that's the one place where, Saban's had problems in his time. Like that I wouldn't say it's LSU, but A&M's got the 12th man. They got everything going there. I think with all those factors being said and the young quarterback, I think A&M gets it done just because, Chris, I know we always say, look at games one week at a time, okay? I think you got to be somewhat realistic, though, and think, holy shit, if we're A&M and we lose this game, where do we have, easy wins left in our schedule? You're going to beat a couple teams you're supposed to beat, maybe some weaker bottom SEC teams, but if you lose this one, you still got the 3 top dogs in the country, maybe 3 of the top 5 teams in the country. I don't think this is one you can afford to lose. I know I'm looking big picture, a little different than game-to-game scenario, but
2-2. They're dropped to 2-2 and already have 2 losses this early, whereas Auburn, they haven't lost yet at least,
Yeah, and I don't think if you lose this one, you're probably going to you could have 5 losses on the season. And again, probably the toughest schedule in the country, but as we know in college football, fans normally don't think rationally like that, and I'm sure Jimbo wants to have a better year than that, but I think this is a must-win for many reasons, and obviously they have a veteran quarterback who, just played against Clemson. He can probably withstand an Auburn defense that's probably not quite as good, so I'm taking the Aggies in this matchup for this weekend, sir.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going with coaching. Jimbo Fisher is going to make his money this week. It's going to be a grind-out game. It's not going to be pretty. Sure, there'll be pretty plays, explosive plays, and all that. I'm not saying that. There's going to be just as many defensive plays probably too. I like that. That's a good game, competitive game. But I think you're right. I got the home crowd / Jimbo's going to get it done. Because Jimbo, I don't know. I don't know. I just think they're going to get it done as well. I'm with you there. And then one more ranked versus ranked. Although when you look at some of these other matchups that we're going to talk about, it could be ranked versus ranked or ranked versus top 28. You know, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But Michigan, we're going to go back about 25 years of football, where it's the mid-90s. Michigan and Wisconsin are playing. Number 11 Michigan at number 13 Wisconsin there in Camp Randall. It is the big game, and I think the Big Ten and Fox in general is smart for this. They're trying to, because back in my day, back in the 80s and early 90s, that 11 o'clock window, Central Time I'm speaking, there would be a bomb-ass game on. Now you got to wait till 2:30, generally speaking. They're changing it up this year. They said, we can't really compete with the ABC and sometimes even the ESPN games a lot of the times. So, because it's all over the place with ABC. You notice, like, they have SEC, they have Big Ten, they have whatever the hot game is, they'll throw it in there because of their contract. And to do it during the afternoon before that 2:30 window, I think is really smart. And this one is not high noon, 11 o'clock, high noon Eastern. Michigan and Wisconsin, man. I mean, what we've seen out of Michigan, it's kind of like, how in the hell are they gonna? They're playing them. They're playing them because, except probably a better version of them right now. You can't sit there and, you could say Michigan has better defense, but is it that much better? It's not like Wisconsin is not known. Well, first of all, they haven't given up any points this year. I just look like, oh shit, they haven't even given up any points. So now, who have they played? Has it been just juggernauts? Central Florida's not bummy. Central Michigan's not horrible. But, is Army great? They're pretty damn good, but they're not, like, phenomenal or whatever, and that is a run team, and maybe some of the stats are there, but what's your gut saying here? Now, maybe this style matchup then does suit Michigan, and they can just win what is the Michigan way at this time and really has been the Badger way for quite some time.
I think for predicting this game, and this is selfish, but it would have been really nice to see Wisconsin play a good team or like a minorly above average team. Now, obviously with Wisconsin, you have arguably the best running back in the country in Jonathan Taylor. That guy is special. So Michigan's number one step is to slow down him, which is much easier said than done. I know he probably won't get into the Heisman talk because you got so many stud quarterbacks this year, but he's something special. So I think that benefits Wisconsin. I will say, just based off memory, Chris, whenever Badgers have a home game in Camp Randall, they almost never get blown out at home. And besides maybe an Urban Meyer beatdown or two, this is a team that when they have a big game at home, they almost never lose it, or it's never like, oh man, Wisconsin got beat by 20 at home. Like, who did that to them? So I think the home field advantage is nice. Early in the day kind of sucks. I know Camp Randall's a massive party in Fun Town, so I'm sure the fans would have preferred a 7:30 start. As you said, with TV and all this stuff, that's kind of always a crapshoot.
I'm sure Wisconsin will start Friday night, though, dude.
Well,
come on.
Yeah,
it's like $2 beers
at 5 a.m. I know. That was a dumb statement, and I apologize.
Get old Milwaukee for $2, pretty much anywhere in this freaking state, dude.
Yeah, you could buy your 36-pack of Hams for $10 and start cowering those things down.
Just ease the whole time.
Oh, what a beer! Yeah. So we know what kind of Wisconsin team there is. Hornibrook is gone, which is an upgrade. He made a couple of mistakes. When a quarterback sleeps with his lineman's girlfriend, that's not a smart idea. So
you're not repeating as the national champion. That's a little different if you're not repeating as a national champion, like Florida was back in the day.
Yep. So he got his butt kicked and missed a couple of games, and they shipped him down to Florida State. Where as bad as Florida State's been, he can't come off the bench and fill for Blackman. Barney Brook, they might need to make like a poor man's 30 for 30 on his career. But anyways, so I'm basing my Wisconsin logic on the team they normally have. And then you have Michigan, who is in their typical routine of, holy shit, they almost lost the game early. People are going to start questioning Harbaugh. How good is the offense? Hit, repeat, play that again. I'm favoring Wisconsin in this game just simply because of the fact that they're at home. And it's just the season's too young to get going. So I'm going to lean towards the home team, Chris. I know Michigan's probably the favorite team, or the odds are leaning their way because of their defense and their name. But a plus for Wisconsin is they had a bye week. So that's massive when you have that much time to prep. Now, again, you've only played 2 games and you haven't played great teams like you said, but having 7 days off is a pretty nice touch for them. So I'm leaning towards the Badgers just to sneak out and get a win here. Again, it would be nice to break this game down if this was like week 7, but it's not. So I'll lean Badgers in a tight one, and Harbaugh gets even more heat after starting out conference play 0-1.
You said that really well. You really did. Because had it been October something, it would be easier to judge this game. I think you hit it right on the nose, and I can understand why everybody, but a lot of people are favoring Wisconsin. Like you said, this Camp Randall, although my Gophers just went into Camp Randall last year, but hey, that's neither here or there, different team. But it does seem like Camp Randall is tough to play in, and it just seems like they got more of a serviceable quarterback that can make plays from time to time. And, even good old, FPI got him at 70%. But on this one, I'm leaning Vegas. I'm going to lean Vegas. And Vegas has Wisconsin as a favorite just because of the home 3-point spread. Otherwise, it's a pick'em game. And I just gotta, for some odd reason, everything's telling me the Badgers are going to win. But there's just times throughout the season, and you know how it is when you're predicting them or betting them or whatever. You just get this feeling, and I got this feeling. And I'm not James Brown, but I got this feeling. And I'm going with Michigan. I'm going Michigan in just an ugly-ass game, whatever, 16-13, maybe 16-15 somehow. A safety wins it. I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe Harbaugh himself is going to go out there and kick a field goal to win. I don't know, but I'm going to be on the opposite side with you, buddy. I'm going the Wolverines. Maybe I'm just a sucker for Harbaugh. I don't know. A variety of other games that we mentioned, or that we're going to mention, as the games under the radar, the hardcore barn burners type, the ones like last week, how we talked about how there was no ranked versus ranked. However, some of these teams could be ranked, and they showed it. Well, ASU now is ranked again after not being ranked. Now they got a quality win over a ranked team. They're ranked again. They're at home. 7.5 spread. Colorado was ranked. Now they lost. That type of thing. You see where I'm going with this. Colorado, Arizona State. That could be a really interesting game. I'd say Oregon and Stanford normally is a really interesting game, especially Stanford at home. I just don't know what to think of Stanford. Here's another one. Number 22, Washington, visiting BYU. Vegas sees it. 6-point spread, Washington at BYU. Do we really have to go over BYU and tell you about it? Utah, number 10, we mentioned this USC. I want your pick on that. And also Air Force, who just got a big win, is going to Boise State. That's a good game, both undefeated. Variety of good games under the radar beyond, just these blockbuster ranked games.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll comment on those and add a few more into the wheelbarrow as well. We'll go to the wheelbarrow. Why the hell not?
I like that.
Yeah,
like that.
We'll throw games in the wheelbarrow. We're old school, man. We're getting up there in age. We're still young at heart. I think for Friday night, I'm not quite sure what is Friday, but Friday night to kind of go in order is USC Utah. It's at USC, and Utah's -3 points. So I think that's Vegas's way of saying we're not backing Clay Helton. Obviously, I think it's a good factor is that it's a home game. I think the quarterback's going to feel more comfortable. But Utah's got a good defense. Utah's got a good running back. Utah's quarterback is not anything to brag about necessarily in Huntley. But I just with the coaching advantage and probably the defense advantage and the momentum, and Utah probably thinking this is the first year since I can recall, maybe since Alex Smith and Urban Meyer, that they could win the Pac-12. Actually, I don't know if it was then. Whatever. I think this is a game that Utah wins. They're a better team right now with a better coach, and I know they're on the road, and USC does get up for big games, and that is kind of a fun stadium. But those memories I'm speaking of are back in the day memories of like the Reggie Bush years. This is not that same kind of team. So I'll take Utah to win that game. I am not even going near the BYU-Washington game. Washington -6. I guess Vegas thinks that USC was favored by 4. So Washington is apparently 2 points better than USC. But mind you, this is a Washington team that lost to Cal at home. I'm not touching that game. BYU's now played Utah, Tennessee, USC. I mean, they've seen it all. Now, could there be a letdown game? Sure. But I predicted a letdown game last week, and they freaking won the game. And you're at home again, and the crowd's going to be special again. And I'm sure, that young quarterback is only growing in confidence. Chris, I would either bet BYU +6 or stay away because that's another just kind of a trap game. I'm not sure how BYU got such a tough schedule, but holy shit, I'm sure you'll probably bet them or pick them or put that in your column, but I would not go anywhere near picking Washington with all the momentum and all the factors we just spoke about in that matchup during the afternoon.
That's the thing about BYU, dude. It's tough to keep going back to the well, though. You know what I mean? It's like, shit.
Yes.
So I went back to the well and got lucky last week. Am I going to the well 3 times? We're in week 4, for Christ's sake. Don't wear it out. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what the law of averages has a way of smacking you in the face when you think you got a good thing coming. And I agree. I wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't touch it at all. I'd just watch it. Another game, Michigan State, Northwestern, kind of do or die for both squads. It's week 4. I realize that, but it's kind of do or die. Which Northwestern team will show up? Vegas thinks not the one we're used to. 9.5 or 9 points favored the Spartans on the road. Not that playing at Northwestern is like 80,000 people screaming at you. They're probably studying for tests while they're in the stands because it's such a good university and whatnot. But still, it's just kind of like I'd probably stay away from it beyond actually just watching it. Here's another one. Florida State, the home field Florida State. Speaking about reading a book, it's funny how this came up, but there was a guy last year that was literally reading a book in one of those extended games because of lightning. And there's a guy reading a book when the game had already started because, a lot of the stadium had emptied it out. But Florida State up 7 on Louisville. And Louisville played Notre Dame pretty tough in that opening weekend. Can you just feel super not that the Cardinals have Teddy there, but, can you feel really confident? And not even Teddy, but what's-his-toes that plays for Baltimore is what I meant. Both those teams, or players. Exciting quarterbacks in college for sure. Can you just give 7 points to Florida State? It's just weird. That's another one that, they could, but I don't know. You know what I mean? Mississippi State, Kentucky, another game that just might be razor tight. This is a really good week of college football, man.
Yeah, and to add on to that, this was a little more of a gambling perspective, but I did see that Cal plays Ole Miss. Why I'm interested in this game from a gambling point is the fact that Ole Miss played Memphis earlier this year and scored like 10 or 8 points. And Memphis's defense, it's better this year, but I don't think it's elite. Cal has an elite defense. So if you couldn't score points on Memphis, how the hell is Ole Miss going to score points on Cal. I get that's a home game, but I'm for sure looking at taking Cal, who is ranked this year. They got to be feeling pretty high. But I just think from a defensive perspective and comparing games to fellow games, I'm kind of doing that math there. I'm like, oh, you're going to give me that? And Ole Miss, they've gone through the coaches and getting in trouble and all that stuff. And maybe Matt Luke is the right guy for the job, Chris. But if I was making a pick column, I would throw that in there just because I think if you got a better defense, even though you're traveling, I sure as hell am taking Cal this weekend to knock out Ole Miss just because that Ole Miss's offense isn't that good. And it's going to take a lot to beat Cal, whose defense is probably a top 15 in the country.
Right.
And to add on to that, I know it's kind of a silly thing, but this is normally a big basketball matchup, but Kansas is 2-1. Kansas actually last Thursday night or Friday night beat Boston College like they whooped them. It was like the first, I think it was the first conference or first road win Kansas had against like a Power 5 school in a long time. So, and now you're in Kansas.
In 11 years. Take that, Charlie Weiss. In 11 years it's been that way. Les Miles didn't even know. They said, hey, dude, stop eating grass for a second. Listen to this. And they gave him the stat. He didn't even know.
And I mean, and they're playing a West Virginia team who might be one of the youngest teams in the Big 12 this year. But who the hell would have thought Kansas could be a 3-1 team? Now, they're a 5-point underdog at home, which with West Virginia, I think that's kind of strange. Again, that's a line that I think is a little bit goofy. This weekend should be a lot of fun, man. I think we've listed a bunch of matchups where maybe none of these matchups are Auburn, Alabama, but for a week where we got just a ton of good stuff going on, man, you're right. We have pretty much good games throughout the entire day. Another spread, Chris, that I don't think you got to yet is Texas is only -5 at home against Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is 3-0. Texas obviously is 2-1. They had the hiccup against LSU. Besides that, they beat up on some poor teams. Oklahoma State has beat Oregon State, McNeese, and Tulsa. So obviously that is nothing to brag about for being 3-0. But I kind of thought Texas would be more than a 5-point favorite.
Obviously at home.
Especially at home. Now, I don't know the names, but what we know about Oklahoma State is you're going to have a quarterback. Gundy's always got some type of good quarterback in his system. They're going to chuck the ball around the whole game. They always seem to give Texas a pretty good fight. But, again, with the ranking,
is James Washington still there? Or does he have a brother that was there? Because remember, James Washington was just like deep threat, deep threat, deep threat, deep threat, deep threat, deep threat. Like, he was just a juggernaut, dude.
But if you're a Texas fan, I would definitely be backing that. I mean, you're only a 5-point favorite at home against a team that's, put up good numbers but has played no one so far this year. And another game, we got all sorts of picks this week, my friend. Georgia Southern, who your Gophers were able to sneak out and get a win against, has also played and beat Tennessee. They're going to Texas State, who they got new coaches here, blah, blah, blah. Texas State's not that great of a team. Georgia State is a 3-point underdog. I know I don't know much about Texas State. They're 0-3. They've had some tough games, but I don't see how you can't bet Georgia State. Georgia State, again, has played Tennessee. They've played Minnesota. They beat – I'm thinking Georgia Southern, my bad. Georgia State beat Tennessee, beat Furman, lost to Western Michigan. Actually lost pretty bad. I apologize. I had the Georgia Southern and Georgia State part confused, so I retract that statement, sure. There's too many damn Georgia teams this year, Chris.
You know what you did is you looked at that power index, that football power index. Like, actually, hold on. No, hold on. They got a 53.6. All right, forget it. Forget what I said. Okay. So I think there's just one more game to talk about, and then let's get the hell out of here, sir. We're starting to get a little long in the tooth, if you know what I mean.
Oh, boy. Oh, we have an in-state rivalry. Oh, yeah. All right, this is what I'm talking about, sir. This is what I'm talking about.
Now, is this the lower 48, or is this like Alaska in-state rivalry? real? How bad is this?
If Fairbanks, Alaska ever plays Hawaii, I might just go to that game to say I was part of it. All right. We have a 3:30 Central matchup. We have the New Mexico State Aggies, who got their ass whooped by Bama, I believe 62-10, is playing the New Mexico Lobos. So what do you got here? You have an in-state rivalry game of two proud schools. Oh boy!
I like how you hesitated to call them schools. They will give you college credit.
I'm gonna let you read out the stats. There's a couple that jump off the map to me, but that's your part. I will say so far this year we've had some pretty crappy or weird stadium names. This is Dream Style Stadium. That is probably the best stadium name so far we've had this year. And Aggie appears to be a cowboy smoking actually he just has a mustache and he's smoking nothing. And a Lobo is a little bit of a wolf. So we have Cowboys playing Wolves, in-state rivalry matchup. Hopefully New Mexico State's not hung over after the Saban beatdown. Break down this great matchup, and the floor is yours, my friend.
Well, the funny thing is I brought up New Mexico State because I was trying to help out Notre Dame for some odd reason. I don't know why, but Dream Style Stadium. Wow, that is an interesting one. The Lobos are not good on offense at 26.5. That's really not that good, but they're a lot better than New Mexico State, who's averaging 9 points on offense. And by the way, they're giving up 50 points a game. However, let's calm down a little bit because their opponent, and I know, going into Dream Style, it's a nightmare actually to go into that stadium, and they're giving up 48.5. So there's really no advantage there. They're out yardaging people, and most of that comes down to the run. And as it would seem, New Mexico cannot stop the run. New Mexico State, let me say. Neither of them are great against the run, but it can be deceiving. San Diego State, as we know, can run the ball. Usually we know Bama can run the you-know-what out of the ball. New Mexico State lost to Liberty, for Christ's sakes. I'm going to have to go the home team again. You cannot just walk into Dream Style. It's a dream to walk into Dream Style. It's just not realistic to walk into Dream Style Stadium with Book throwing – oh, wait, that just happened last week. Ian Book. I've read that wrong. I was going to give him credit. I'm going to have to go with the University of New Mexico to finish off the New Mexico. Wait, am I right? Yeah, the New Mexico State Aggies. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it's a 4.5-point spread. I'm going to feel comfortable about that with the spread. We got a spread for this one, which is nice. So I'm going to go 3-0 segment here. We're going to go 4-0 next week. You'd be in the red cleanly if you listen to the Crafty Crappy Pick of the Week.
Yeah, another beautiful game to break down. We will have highlights and summaries from that. I can't wait. The computer sets a 75% chance, but as you know, the computer's been cold this year. I think someone has hacked the FPI system, or the system just sucks, one or the other. Anyways, that is looking into Week 4. This maybe isn't quite the matchups of Week 2, but overall, probably the best overall set of matchups we have all year for football. And it's a great time of the year because you have football on Friday night, you have Saturday. Obviously, kick your feet back and watch whatever you love on Sunday. It's a great time of year to watch football. So until then, thanks as always for listening to our podcast. Chris and I love it. If you ever do want to call in, we normally take more calls on the basketball show, but you can always call and ask us a question. Or if you want to rant about a bad gambling loss that you had to suffer, I'll be here for therapeutic reasons. But until then, we'll be back next week. I hope the USC can win a damn game. I don't think they will, but fight on anyways. Have a good week. Enjoy time with your family. The boys are out. Peace.